Welcome to Who's Right, What's Left. I'm your co-host, Melissa Reinhart.
And I'm Matt Neubauer. We're here to discuss some of the important issues that face Americans today and have some civil discourse and banter between friends and parties.
Who's right?
What's left? Welcome back to Who's Right, What's Left.
Hello, everyone.
This evening, we're going to ask our party chairs a few questions. Little get to know you for our local party chairs. Mine is Mr. Steve Shine, and Melissa will be fielding a few questions here, and then we'll switch it up in a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Steve, for being here.
It's my pleasure. It's nice of you to have an elderly, sympathetic man with a memory problem.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You know, just hearing your voice.
Whoever said that.
And he's the professional. This year you marked in your bio, this is your 61st year on radio and television, and
yes.
He has the most beautiful radio and television voice. I remember hearing that, not to age you, but growing up.
I understand that.
And hearing that on the news and
Yes.
television and the Christmas Story. You remember?
All of Channel 55 actually.
Channel 55,
every
yeah.
morning.
And we still
Every
have
morning.
the Christmas program, but
Yeah.
it's on 21 Alive now, and it's on at 3 o'clock on the week before Christmas.
You do have an amazing voice.
Well, I appreciate
You
that.
do.
I had
You really
nothing
do.
to do with it. You can thank
Yes.
my parents.
And you're a Fort Wayne native.
Yes, I've
Southside
lived here all
graduate.
my 71 years.
I love that. And you're into real estate. And of course, you're a practicing lawyer. How many years have you been practicing
I've been
law?
practicing law. It will be 44 years on September 2nd of this year. I started on September 2nd of 1980 in the same location, which is the Shine and Hardin building on the Broadway Plaza. And
That's a great
I
area.
mention that because of the fact that we've been through thick and thin there. And right now it's really on the uptick. The area around it is becoming kind of a mini West Central, if you will.
It is.
And that's thanks in part to the great community development project, the largest in the history of the city of Fort Wayne, which is the Electric Works, which I fully support.
Yeah.
And then the tremendous investment just to the south of our building by Chuck Sirac for Quimby Village.
Oh, absolutely.
With the Clyde and the club room and all those nice things.
Well, and the Christmas tree lighting brings
Yes,
lots of people to
November
yeah.
22nd
Yes.
this year. It's our 20th year for that. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of change.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you've been Republican Party chair of Allen County.
Yes, 32 years for that.
32 years. So,
I
gosh.
should be dead by now.
No. So you have done a lot in this community, and you continue to do a lot. You have brought many reputable Republican office holders, and
Yes.
the list you gave me is really impressive, even though they're Republican.
I
had to
appreciate
say
it.
that.
And
I had to
that's,
say
that
that.
is true. If there was an impressive Democrat, we might have him too, but we couldn't find one.
But no, seriously though, you've had congressmen, senators, governors,
Vice presidents,
speakers of the House,
Secretary of States.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, Richard Lugar. Gosh, I wish I could have met him.
Fine man, by the way.
Yeah, that's
one
I've
of the finest.
always heard good things
Yes,
about him.
a gentleman.
Always, yeah. And of course, your wife and 3 adult children.
Yes,
So-
my wife Jody and my 3 kids from a previous marriage that I had. But everybody gets along beautifully. That's what we're all supposed to do, to set examples, if you will.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I don't hear any plans of retirement. In
Oh,
anything that you
absolutely
do.
not. And my motto is retire, expire. So
Retire, expire.
Yeah, there's
I'm
no
gonna
way.
write that down.
No way for that.
Retire, expire. All right. Well, we have some questions. We did give both the chairman the list of questions, and Steve is open to
Anything.
anything. Do we want to stay on script with the questions?
Sure. Well,
Matthew,
sure for
or
now.
do
You
you-
worked
or do
really
you
hard
want-
on those. You worked really hard on those, and I think they were good. I mean, I think they were
thank
great.
you.
And I've got to
Great
say, Melissa,
topical
you were
questions.
extremely well organized.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Very well organized.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Or do you want to just go off script and talk about something else momentarily?
No, we can.
Okay.
Either
All
one.
right. All right. So, given the current political climate,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, it's so different on the national scale and then here locally to statewide, how would you describe, let's talk about Allen County. How would you describe the current political climate in Allen County from a Republican
I think it's great from the Republican perspective. We have almost every elected official in Allen County is a Republican. And looking at the ballot for this fall, the Democrats have not fielded a candidate for county treasurer, county commissioner, Allen County surveyor, and Allen Circuit Court judge. That is basically almost all of the ballot has gone unfilled by the Democrats. The only contested races will be those people running for county council at large.
Right.
And the Democrats may have thought, well, we'll just invest in that and see what happens. Well, I can assure you, since we don't have to invest in anything else either, we will just lay it on for the county council at large.
I can't wait.
Well, we've already started.
Yeah, it wasn't for the lack of trying, though. It's
No, I
just
understand
really
that.
hard. And I've ran numerous times. It is really hard to run as a Democrat here. It just
It
is.
is very. I think I may have even had a discussion with you at one time about thinking about kind of
Yes.
adjusting your philosophy a little bit and coming over
Or
to our ticket.
switching. Yeah.
But
you
it is
did,
hard
you
to
did.
attract good candidates. Well, I'm very fortunate to be the chairman of a party that I feel have some excellent local, both city and county candidates and elected officials. But trying to convince someone in today's environment to hold themselves out there for public scrutiny, and when I say public scrutiny, most people now are unfiltered, whereas turn the hands back on the clock, 20 years ago, there was some semblance of restraint. But that's not true anymore. It's a different political environment, and you really have to have a thick skin, thicker than ever, to be able
Right.
to withstand the scrutiny.
Well, and that's, that was the impetus for us to do this podcast. Matt and I have been friends for years, and we're very different politically, but we always walk away okay.
Well, there has to be respect.
There has to be,
I
yeah.
think that's very important, and I do try to respect that. Everybody has a voice. And the minute you try to squelch those voices, the minute you are on the short end of the stick.
Right,
You
right.
cannot suppress people's voices.
Right. Couldn't agree more. What do you see as the key issues that voters in Allen County are most concerned about right now, or even just for the last few years?
Well, I think number one, without equivocation, is property tax rates. They are absolutely killing people, whether you're a senior citizen and on a fixed income, whether you are a business owner with real estate attached to your business,
Sure.
Whether you're a farmer, having an increased value, assessed valuation. Property tax is, without question, number one.
And I hear about that from my neighbors, and it's like, well, I'm not elected. I can't do anything about this. I can tell you what the process is to try to contest the increase in your property taxes, but the reality is, when the valuation is going up with the sold properties in the area, there's not a whole lot that can be adjusted.
And there's a lot of
just isn't.
ideas out there on how to remedy that. But one thing I am, kind of opposed to is I don't think people should have to be put through a process where they appeal an otherwise unfair assessment for property tax purposes. The burden should be on the government to prove their position that the taxation is a fair representation of the value of the property.
So do you have an idea for how to make that happen?
I'm
or?
listening to all. There's individuals who have thought that perhaps the property tax should remain at the rate at which you purchased, at the value of which you purchased the property, and that way there are no surprises 5 or 6, 7
Right,
years down
right.
the line. That's one of them. There are several others that have been stated by both the gubernatorial candidate for the Republican Party, Mike Braun, and our Lieutenant Governor candidate, Micah Beckwith. They will be campaigning on property tax relief, no doubt.
Okay. Matt, did you want to ask maybe the...
Absolutely. What strategies is the Republican Party focusing on to expand its base in Allen County?
Well, I'm not going to use a public venue like this to tell Derek Camp what strategy I'm going to
It's
have.
okay, Steve. We just have a few listeners.
But certainly getting more youth involved.
Yeah.
And that's very important. If you look at either party, you will see that the majority of the voters are 50 plus, and majority of those are 65 plus. These are the reliable individuals, and we love them, don't misunderstand me. But we also have to get the lower end of the spectrum involved and basically buy into what government's all about. They may not like things. They might have a disagreement with the way government operates, but they need to get out there, not only give their voice, but run for office, too.
Sure.
So I think my biggest chore is to get the younger end of the spectrum involved in party politics, and we're seeing a lot about it. It's interesting. I was speaking the other day at the Aboit Elementary School, a group of fifth graders, and they wanted to know all about politics. And I was very pleased that they were interested in that, because it shows that there's obviously been some discussion at the dinner table among families. But to instill that interest in people that young.
They're not even junior high yet.
Oh, no, fifth grader.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And they were just wonderful. And then I get a kick out of this. Each one of them wrote me a note thanking me for coming, but they were in like they were printed. Most of them were not cursive, and it was just so cute and innocent, if you will, as to how they thought about the whole presentation.
Well, and who knows? Maybe you inspired someone to.
I would hope so.
That's
I
fantastic.
Would hope so.
Are you doing like outreach? You know, I know that for a while at PFW there were was it the college Democrats and
there's a college Republicans. We have a teenage Republican also.
Okay, great.
We have the young Republicans. We used to have a separate group called the Young Republicans. But, some people like myself would lie to get in. Just because.
Are we young?
Yeah, I would say everybody feels they're a young Republican.
Right. Yeah,
but
right.
Specifically, teenage Republicans, I mean, that has an end to it. And that's 19.
Yeah.
And then the college Republicans, obviously,
right.
When you're not in college anymore, then you're out of that.
Sure.
So we basically have those two groups.
Sure.
We also have the Republican Women's Group, which meets and has really expanded with Tammy Taylor, Lana Kiesling, Nicole Kiesling. They have really enhanced the Women's Republican Group, which has become a very vital organization within our party.
I grew up with Tammy Taylor.
Oh, you did? She's a wonderful person.
I did. Yeah, we have a long history. Yeah,
she's been a great volunteer.
That's great. That's great. I'm really happy for her.
She's in the back room with me when we do the election night vote counting. I'm sure she has learned some new words from the party chairman, especially when some of the wrong precincts come in right off the bat.
That's great. So I'm going to skip ahead here, Mac, because he actually kind of
we touched on those.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So with the elections that are coming up with the ballot in November,
yes.
How will the Republican Party support them and promote those candidates? Because you said you're going to be all in, like with the county council races. And what does that look like for you?
Well, it looks like us being, if you will, a cooperative, like merchandisers, if you will, get with with retailers, and they assist with the retailers advertising for particular products. Well, that's how I kind of operate the way the Republican Party helps candidates. We are, in addition to, we are the icing on the cake. They have to run their own vigorous campaign where they go door to door and they reach out, and they're at parades and they're in neighborhoods, etc. They're at community events. They're at the meetings like with the League of Women Voters, etc. And then what we do is supplement that with radio, television, newspaper, and digital advertising.
Nice.
With handbills. I can remember yours, Matt, you were on the one for 2023, I think, for a city election in New Haven. So we try to help as much as we can to augment, supplement what the candidate does on their own. We never tell the candidate that we are the be-all, end-all for their campaign. That's just not possible. If they're going to be contributing to the Republican Party as an important voice, they need to get out there and they need to let people know who they are and what they stand for. there's a lot of people who want to know, what are we going to do about property tax
Sure.
relief? You're not going to get that by relying on an organization just to get the word out. You have to really reach out and touch individuals.
And I've seen that in the Democratic Party. You have to put in the sweat equity.
Absolutely.
And earn those stripes. And we just don't have the resources to just give everything a candidate needs. And I've mentored. We've talked about this in other broadcasts. I've mentored other candidates because I've learned a lot with having had 3 races, and I thought the party would help more. It's like, no, this is hard work.
Yes.
You've got to knock doors. You have to figure out which vendors you want, and raise the money.
Well, I don't think there's any candidate who has run since I have been chair that would say that the party hasn't helped greatly.
Yeah.
We are very active, but
That's fantastic.
we're not a replacement for the campaign.
Right. Of
we're
course.
like your vitamins in the morning.
Right.
You are
a nice supplement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate. I learned being a first-time politician, seeing it's not just the party, but it's also the party community. So you've got these really hardcore Republicans who really do truly believe in the cause, and even if your candidate maybe didn't make it past primaries, you get a lot of help from those folks. Like, okay, well, my guy didn't win, but I'm all in with who was his competition a week before. But, this is my guy now, and you'll get support from other camps.
You bring up a very good point. Part of the hard job of being the chairman is to bring people together to coalesce after a heated primary. And I can say this, because of the popularity of the Republican Party in the city of Fort Wayne and in Allen County, all the action's usually in the primary. And
Yes.
that primary gets very heated. And there are often things said and done that would lead to a schism, if you will. And being chairman, you have to be able to heal that schism so that people are on the same page. Normally, we have success in that, and so it's.
What have you learned in your 30-plus years as chair? How do you
duck?
Duck, yeah, but seriously though, to me that just sounds like that would just send me over the edge.
Well,
to try to heal, especially after the really contentious mayoral primaries.
I don't think that this is not the answer to all of this, but I have training in my legal background as a mediator. I'm a registered mediator, and being that
Sure,
is trying
that makes
to
sense.
try to find commonality, if you will,
Sure.
and a page, the same page that everybody can read off, and to let everybody know that there's not always a bases-loaded home run. There's not always a winner and a loser in especially in mediation. There's compromise, respect, and trying to to get something rather than nothing.
Right.
So that's important, that background.
I hope you're mentoring someone that when you do decide to retire, that they can come in and try to fill your shoes. I don't know how they could do
Well, I
that,
would
but
like that.
Seriously, like you're a good leader.
Well, I appreciate
and
that.
a recognized leader in many different roles in this community.
Well, someone
and,
will have a chance. I'm going to serve one more term after this. There will be an election in March of 2025. And then when that term is over with, I would hope that there will be a line waiting to serve as chairman. But I think that after 36 years of it, and I will be 76 then rather than coming to be 72, I would like to have a life that is not ruled by the election calendar.
No, I understand
because
that.
it is a 100% commitment. I do not treat
is.
this under any circumstance as a hobby.
Right.
It's a enjoyable task.
Yes.
It's a business almost. And
It is.
if you don't treat it in that professional manner, you're not going to have the same feeling of responsibility that one may not have if they think, well, politics is a hobby. It'd be fun.
It's not for the weak.
No, and you're on call 24/7.
Right.
And I
You
still
are.
feel as if it's the first day back in 1993 when I was elected, March 6th of 1993. I still feel every day that it's the first day. It's
Wow.
that much excitement and fun. But I would like to owe it to myself to do something a little bit different I think it will be 2029.
Are there some travel plans in your future?
Probably from the kitchen to the TV room.
Well, good. I'm glad we'll keep you in the community.
I'll be like some of the people that I call, and all you can hear in the background is the price is right.
Price is right,
blaring because they can't hear it.
That's great. Did you want to ask about the
Well, sure.
national?
Yeah. Could you explain a little bit how we collaborate with state and national GOP?
Well, the collaboration with the state is much greater than the national. The national is such a behemoth organization. We have had our success with the national based upon our national committee men and women, one of whom I'm very close to. That's Anne Hathaway. She is the national committee woman from Indiana, and we just recently have a new national committeeman whose name escapes me, and it's a very popular person, but I just
it's okay.
Went by it the other day and gave it, just a few minutes of thought, and then it moved on. But Ann, I've known since 1988 when she was chief of staff for then Vice President Dan Quayle.
Okay.
And we've had a great relationship. She is just the chairwoman emeritus of the Indiana State Republican Party, and the respect for her is so great that she is the chairwoman of the National Republican Convention being held in Milwaukee on beginning July 15th. She is someone whose talents are very well recognized. So that's the contact we have with the national organization. With the state, that's much easier to come by. Everybody has kind of got a lot of camaraderie going on. You know who's who. You know who's to call as the executive director or as the operations manager, or our new chairman who was just selected by our state central committee. That is Randy Head. He is a former prosecutor from Cass County and a leading attorney in the state, former state senator. And he called me on the eve of 4th of July, July the 3rd, and just said, Steve, I didn't get a chance to talk to you much after the convention was over in Indianapolis a few weeks ago. What can I do for you?
Nice.
Those are the kind of things. We have a great statewide organization.
Fantastic. Do you mind if I skip ahead?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Because I want to honor the time that we said we would keep them here.
Absolutely.
Thinking of the challenges and the opportunities, yes, the Republican Party clearly has an omnipresence here in Allen County, right? Do you see any challenges facing the Republican Party?
Every day is a challenge. You have to operate the organization as if you are behind.
Okay. Well, I get that.
Any assumption that it's being handed to you on a platter is going to be a lethal mistake.
So we can make you sweat sometimes?
You make me sweat all the time, and it makes me perform better.
I like that.
Yeah, it makes me perform a lot better.
Some of us do really work hard.
We have a responsibility to individuals. We should never take it for granted. If we take it for granted, we should not be serving. You need to be out there mixing it up with people, getting input. As I said, the door-to-door, the various events are very important. I think a good example of really getting out there and having the successful campaigns were the races for city council at large. We flipped several seats on that at large and went from a slight majority to a much larger one, 6-3, rather than 5-4. This is in a city where people say, well, a city is more Democrat than it is Republican. Well, not so. The most votes cast in November of 2023 were for the Republican candidate for city clerk, Lana Kiesling. She got more votes than the late Mayor Tom Henry got.
Yeah.
And
she did really well.
She did very well because she's out there working hard, and she is well respected, and she's got great ideas. And those are the kind of people we want to recruit for the Republican Party.
Sure.
We need more Lana Kieslings. Interestingly enough, the vote in the city election for 2023, more people voted by absentee as Republicans than Democrats, and more people voted on election day as Republicans than Democrats.
And it's usually...
Well, whatever it was usually, what happened was that the early voting at the various satellites we lag behind, and we've got to find a way to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
We would have had a much better election night, even though we had a great one. We would have had a much better one had we not fallen behind there.
And just a plug for early voting. I work in one of the buildings that has the early voting, and I've heard people comment like that. You wait so long and to park and get in, stand in line at your precincts. But early voting folks were even saying, I don't even think I'll have to pay for parking. They're in and out under the 30 minutes. I've gone down there. There's no line.
I've never had to pay for parking because I'm in and out.
Yeah, those folks are just waiting to get your ID in and out.
They do a great job.
Oh,
they
wonderful
really do.
job.
My wife Jody and I voted at the Rousseau Center.
So
and
quick.
In and out, and so courteous and kind. And that's the kind of thing we need to make it inviting. I will, in the next term as chairman, be promoting a city voting centers, city and county voting centers, where there will be centers located across the county or in a city election across the city where people can vote instead of having to go to a precinct. Several reasons for this. First of all, if you work at Parkview Hospital but you live out south somewhere, you can vote in your lunch hour at Parkview Hospital. You don't have to drive home and try to get to the precinct. You will be on a master list.
That would be nice.
And you won't have to worry about what precinct you're in. That should encourage it. Secondly, and very important, is to cut down on the number of very hard to recruit poll workers.
Oh, it's so
there's
challenging.
The clerk, the judge, it's the inspector. It's hard to get that many people for 200 precincts. That's a lot of manpower, and even though you're paid somewhere around $200 or a little less per day, you've got to convince those people. And the Republicans have an extra chore to get an additional person as a poll worker, because the party that wins the Secretary of State's race in their county is responsible for one additional person to work the polls over and above the other party that did not win the Secretary of State's office. So we won the Secretary of State's office with Diego Morales in 2022, and that meant that the onus, the responsibility for one more poll worker was important. And when you multiply that by 200, there's
a lot of extra bodies.
Exactly.
That's a lot
but
of extra.
You won't need that in voting centers. You will have maybe 30 voting centers, maybe 20. I don't know what they will be. This is something the election board needs to map out along with the county commissioners. But the nice thing about it is, no matter where you live in Fort Wayne or throughout the day, you can go wherever there is a voting center and vote and not be restricted by returning to your home base precinct.
So is that your vision as Republican Party chair to make happen before?
I would like to. I would like to have that happen. I'd like to have it happen by 2026, but I'm not sure we can get that done. It has to be approved by the county commissioners, and there has to be a plan set forth by the election board.
Sounds like that could be a long process.
Well, that's why we have an energetic chairman to try to get it
Who's
done.
also a lawyer, so that's fantastic.
And see, Melissa, it's even the little things that Republicans do to make your life better that you don't even realize sometimes. Or recognize.
And as I've told viewers before, and yet I adore you, Matthew. Let's go off script for just a couple of minutes.
Okay, sure.
Did you want to talk about the debate?
Talk smack about the debate? We would love to.
Well, I'm not
going to.
Go for it.
Absolutely. What were your thoughts on the national debate?
It was sad.
I'm going to take a drink of water.
I bet there's Kettle One vodka in there if you have to listen to this.
It's more fun when she does.
Jeez.
I am very sympathetic for the Democrats. The presentation of Joe Biden was pathetic, and I think Democrats have to think: do we judge him by that 90 minutes or whatever it was, or do we look at a longer, bigger picture? Unfortunately, subsequent to the debate and trying to explain everything, both in public appearances with George Stephanopoulos, at various public events, he has had the same missteps. And, I am my mantra is, go Biden all the way. I don't want him replaced under any circumstance, because we then go into an unknown as to what might be out there. But right now, if Joe Biden is on the ticket in November, it is not going to be a very pretty thing for for the Democrats up and down the ticket.
And do you think if Steve, if Democrats did find someone to replace Biden, do you really think that'd be a threat though to Trump? You said unknown, but I
don't know who that.
I mean, if
could
we
be.
had that person, we would have.
I don't want to suggest who it is, but anybody anybody above and beyond Biden will pose a new set of circumstances for Donald Trump. And right now, I'm very comfortable with the Joe Biden scenario. And every time he is on a public platform and says he has no intention whatsoever of stepping aside, I said, that's the ticket. Keep going. Keep going.
Go Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. I have my Biden button in my car.
Jeez.
I've heard some conflicting opinions, legal opinions, of is that legal in all 50 states for them to replace him?
Well,
hadn't heard that.
You hear many different things as the way somebody wants to spin it. I always say to people, there are 800 attorneys in Fort Wayne, and if they all thought the same thing, you'd only go to one master attorney who would interpret every statute.
800.
Yes, there are 800 people who practice law, and that's why we're so loved, because there's 800. You open the code, in the Indiana code, the statute, and you look at one paragraph and you're going to get 800 different opinions. Now, going back to your question, I would opine on that from what I understand is it's still up to the delegates of whether they remain committed to him when they get to the convention.
Okay.
So if that's the circumstance, then he is going to be facing some problems as more and more people drop off of his bandwagon.
Fair.
Or should I say stalled vehicle instead of a bandwagon? That might be a better indication of it.
All I can say is the night of the debate, and didn't we talk about this in another podcast?
A little bit.
Well, when we were talking about the importance of succession planning, whether at the local level or at the national level, when it comes to leadership, I knew when I saw Biden walking very slowly to the podium, we were in trouble.
Yes,
it was just,
his gait, so to speak, is
was alarming.
Problematic.
I thought, why didn't someone give him an energy drink?
I mean,
seriously, I was just like, oh no.
Even Donald Trump, who's just a few years behind him, is much more animated, much more vibrant, much more coherent, if you will.
He was more vibrant, but he wasn't terribly factual, Steve.
Well, that's just an aside.
Who cares about the facts?
Yeah, that's not always bothering. Don't forget, I practice law. Sometimes I have
to interpretation.
Yes. Let's call those 799 other attorneys in and see what they have to say.
Oh my goodness. Well, and any other questions? I mean, we could sit here and talk to him forever. But
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, Matt, first of all, I want to thank both of you. Matt, you have done a great job on New Haven City Council.
Thank you.
And having grown up here in Fort Wayne when New Haven didn't have the most polished reputation, it is now the jewel of this area. It has Mayor McMichael and the entire City Council have done everything to elevate it to a first-class city, and you should be very proud of that. And Melissa, I thank you for your knowledge in government and what you have done for running for the offices that you have sought. You are probably the best representative that the Democrats could have on the ticket.
Well,
You're a lovely lady, and I wish you luck, but not too much, unless you're willing to sit down and we'll talk about it.
And talk,
Yeah.
talk about switching.
Flexibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Some flexibility.
Flexibility is a good word.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Really,
Thank you, Melissa.
seriously.
Matt,
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And folks, thanks. Go
Let me know when I can watch this on YouTube.
Absolutely.
The only thing I watch on YouTube is on Sunday mornings when I watch the best of the Three Stooges.
Aww.
And I like that.
Outstanding choice.
Well,
Folks, that's been Who's Right, What's Left. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
The opinions and views expressed on Who's Right, What's Left are Matt and Melissa's solely. They are not necessarily the views of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or either of the participants' employers. We'd like to thank our production team at influencer.tv. For more information on how to start your own podcast, check them out at influencer.tv.
And don't forget, you can like us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can listen and leave your 5-star review and share on both Apple and Spotify. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
These are important, critical conversations we all need to have with each other for the future of our country. Remember to be polite, make it fun, and we can all agree to disagree.